Hello, hi. Here we got the investigation report from SpaceX of Starship's Flight 9. Here we can get into the details of the investigation report of Starship's Flight 9 on May 27, 2025. Starship's ninth flight test successfully lifted off at 6:36 p.m. Central Time from Starbase, Texas. The flight test began with the first super heavy booster to be reflown, starting up successfully and completing a full duration ascent burn with all 33 of its Raptor engines before separation from Starship's upper stage in a hot staging maneuver. During separation, Super Heavy performed the first ever deterministic flip followed by its boostback burn. After completing the boostback burn, Super Heavy flew at a significantly higher angle of attack than previous flights during its descent back to Earth, reaching a peak angle of approximately 17 degrees. This trajectory was a flight experiment to gather data on the limits of the booster's performance. Once it reached the planned splashdown area, the booster relit 12 of the planned 13 engines of its landing burn. Shortly after the burn started, an energetic event was observed near the AFT end of the vehicle. Here the word AFT is nautical or aerospace term. AFT end refers to the rear portion, or in SpaceX Starship nomenclature, AFT section refers to the engine or tail end of the rocket. This is where the Raptor engines are mounted. Or AFT is also called as engine end, or the bottom or the rear of the spacecraft or the booster. So an energetic event was observed near the AFT end of the vehicle, followed by the loss of telemetry. Final data was received from the booster approximately 382 seconds into the flight and at approximately 1 kilometer in altitude over the designated clear zone. The most probable cause for the failure at landing burn was higher than predicted forces on the booster structure, specifically on the booster's fuel transfer tube, due to the increased angle of attack experiment. Post-flight analysis showed that vehicle loads exceeded the capabilities of transfer tube, which is believed to have experienced an structural failure, resulting in a mixing of methane and liquid oxygen and subsequent ignition. For the remaining flight tests using this version of the Super Heavy booster, the angle of attack for booster descent will be lowered to decrease aerodynamic forces and minimize the likelihood of structural failure. SpaceX works with an experienced global response provider to retrieve any debris that may wash up in South Texas or Mexico as a result of Starship flight test operations. During the survey of the expected debris field from the booster, there was no evidence of any floating or deceased marine life that would signal booster debris impact harmed animals in the vicinity. Following a successful stage separation, the Starship upper stage lit all 6 of its Raptor engines and flew along its expected trajectory. Approximately 3 minutes into the burn, sensors in the nose cone detected a steady increase in the methane levels. The nose cone in Starship terms is the very front or the forward end of the Starship where the payload bay is. And venting is releasing the gas pressure, usually gaseous oxygen, nitrogen, methane, through small vents to manage tank pressure and avoid pressurizing. And nose cone venting is gas escaping from pressure vents near Starship's forward nose cone section. So approximately 3 minutes into the burn, sensors in the nose cone detected a steady increase in methane levels. This continued until approximately 5 minutes into the burn, when pressure began to rapidly decrease in the main fuel tank, while pressure simultaneously increased in the nose cone. Starship's system were able to compensate for the drop in main tank pressure and complete the ascent burn, achieving the planned velocity and second stage engine cutoff, SCCO. After engine shutdown, the elevated nose cone pressure combined with planned nose cone venting led to a large amount of attitude error, which continued to build up until the vehicle's automatic fall systems disabled nose cone venting. The attitude error resulted in the ship automatically skipping the payload deploy object, which was also unable to be completed as the higher nose cone pressure resulted in adverse loads on the mechanism responsible for opening the payload door. The vehicle was able to gradually decrease its attitude error using reaction control thrusters until nose cone venting was re-enabled as planned. Roughly 40 seconds after nose cone vents were re-enabled, Onboard cameras showed liquid methane entering the nose cone, and temperatures on multiple sensors and controllers started dropping. This eventually triggered automatic passivation commands on the vehicle, resulting in Starship's skipping the in-space burn and venting all remaining propellant into space. Starship re-entered Earth's atmosphere in an off-nominal attitude, and communication was lost during entry. Final telemetry from Starship was received approximately 46 minutes into the flight test, while the vehicle was approximately 59 kilometers in altitude and inside the designated entry area over the Indian Ocean. There were no autonomous flight test, safety system mission, rule violations, or initiation of the flight termination system. SpaceX led the investigation efforts with oversight from the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, and participation from NASA, the National Transportation and Safety Board, and the United States Space Force. The most probable root cause for the loss of Starship's upper stage was traced to a failure on the main fuel tank pressurization system diffuser. Cameras inside the vehicle showed a visible failure on the fuel diffuser canister, which is located inside the nose cone volume on the forward dome of the main fuel tank. While pre-flight analysis did not show a predicted failure, SpaceX engineers were able to recreate the failure using flight conditions when testing at SpaceX facility in McJudge-Gore, Texas. To address the issue on upcoming flights, the fuel diffuser has been redesigned to better direct pressurized gas into the main fuel tank and substantially decrease the strain on the diffuser structure. The new design underwent a more rigorous qualification campaign, subjecting it to flight-like stresses and running for more than 10 times the expected service life with no damage. Okay, this is the flight report, Starship's Flight 9 report. You can have a look at the video of the Starship's Flight 9 now. Have a nice day. Thank you. There is also a report of Starship's Ship 36 on Wednesday, June 18 at approximately 11 p.m. Central Time. The Starship or the Ship 36, which is preparing for their 10th flight test, experienced an anomaly while on test stand at Starbase. Okay, this report was also released. We will discuss this report tomorrow. And the Starship 10th flight is being approximately planned on Sunday. We will also release the video of the detailed Starship 10th flight. Okay, have a look at the video now. Starship Flight 9 video now. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Here we go.
We saw an issue with that quick disconnect to the ship. There is a chance that automation will kick us out again if we encounter the same issue. But for now, the clock is rolling. We'll see if we pass around that T-minus 10 second mark. Sight from here, we see it marked right over top of us. We see 33 out of 33 Raptor engines lit on Super Heavy as it starts to ascend skyward. Coming up on maximum aerodynamic pressure, then only about a minute and a half until we get into hot staging.
Wow, Dan, that was incredible. We could feel the building shaking here, feel the vehicle's power. Now we're just about a minute away from shutting down those engines on the booster. Again, this booster is flying for its second time today.
All right, so hot staging coming up a little under a minute. We're going to see all but the 3 center engines turn off on the booster, so our version of MECO, most engines cut off, and then just a few seconds later, hoping to see 6 engines ignite on ship to push it away. All right, hot staging, about 30 seconds. And definitely keep an eye on which way the booster flips. First ever directional flip we're going for today should flip straight up. See those engines powering down? Booster engine cut off. Ship ignition. Stage separation.
Incredible flip by Super Heavy booster, and you can see those 3 engines on the ship ignited.
6 healthy Raptors running on ship, on its way to space. Peek that engine view, booster doing the boost back. Chris, how's it looking over there at Hawthorne, man?
It is looking absolutely incredible here in Hawthorne. As we said, 6 healthy engines on ship. We've got 13 out of 13 engines on the booster. Now down to those 3, which is what we expect in the final moments of the boost back burn. Now, as a reminder, we are not recovering the Super Heavy booster today. We are instead going to do some... And there we had a good shutdown of the boost back burn. Next up will be the jettison of that hot stage. Great call out there that everything looking nominal aboard the super heavy vehicle, which is returning to Earth, and we're going to be doing some experiments with it, including a higher angle of attack re-entry, as well as some engine tests as it gets closer to the Gulf. We are, again, because of these tests not recovering, we are sending it to the Gulf on purpose to do those tests. But again, you see the booster on the left-hand side of your screen. You see ship with 6 healthy engines continuing its ascent to its planned suborbital trajectory. Everything going very well so far for Starship's 9th flight. Now 4 minutes, 15 seconds in. Great views from inside of the aft engine area of ship there, looking at those 3 sea level and 3 Raptor engines on the right-hand side of your screen. The booster doing its LOX dump, that liquid oxygen dump, so because we don't need some of that liquid oxygen propellant in its tanks, we vent that propellant out to lessen the booster's mass as it comes in for its landing. Just absolutely gorgeous views watching these two vehicles do their respective things in the skies over Texas here today. And Dan, we're approaching the 5-minute mark into the flight. Super Heavy is descending rapidly. What can we expect here in the next few minutes as it does its atmospheric tests?
Yeah, now as we talked about, Super Heavy might not have a very smooth ride down. We're going to be putting it through this higher angle of attack, so we're kind of pitching it up a tiny bit, increasing drag. We've done this in wind tunnels, we've done this in computer modeling. It shows that sometimes the control isn't great, but only one way to really prove it out, and that's to get real-world data. So here comes Super Heavy. It should be igniting for its landing burn in just about 40 seconds from now.
And we're going to relight 13 engines, then bring that down to 3 engines. As we talked about earlier, we will be intentionally shutting down. We will be shutting down one of those 3 center engines intentionally to push the limits of the Super Heavy booster.
Raptor, chamber pressure's normal.
And continuing to see 6 healthy engines on the ship, 3 sea level and 3 vacuum engines still ignited as the Super Heavy booster is making its way back down to Earth.
We can see those Griffins doing some heavy work. Ignited for our landing burn. It may have ended with that landing burn. Does look like we lost telemetry from the booster once we started into that landing burn. Did you see your confirmation that the booster did demise? So the booster's flight ending before it was able to get through landing burn, but again, we are not bringing that back. We were expecting it to make a hard splashdown in the Gulf. We were getting live data back the entire time through that high angle of attack flight, so that was something that was really vital for us to get during this reuse. First reflight of booster in the books. All right, ship has about 2 minutes left.
And in about 2 minutes, we expect all 6 Raptor engines to shut down. That will be SECO, basically second engine or second stage engine shut off. And these are some incredible views, Dan, from the aft end of the ship, watching as the engines stay ignited with Earth in the background.
As always, the Starship avionics team, the techs. I think we just heard the booster. But all right, we got about a minute left into this burn. All eyes definitely on ship as we get through the final stages into its ascent. We're expecting it to start to cut those engines off in about 45 seconds.
Turbo guys.
All right, just about 30 seconds to go. We're in terminal guidance, in the final stages of this ascent burn. We did see shutdown of the Raptor engines. We do stagger these, so we do the Raptors first. Those 3 have shut down successfully. Sea level's still running.
Ship engine cut off.
Ship engine cut off, the 3 most beautiful words in the English language.
And great call out that we had nominal insertion. An incredible flight test so far today. We reflew a Super Heavy booster for the very first time in 9 test flights. Ship is in its orbital trajectory. Again, it's going to remain suborbital for its mission today. But it ignited all 6 of its engines and made it all the way through SECO just now.